All right, here we go again. So I'm going to bring up a couple of their scams that they used against me. So they pretend there's this investigative purpose to be in the victim's life. Of course, saying there's some sort of victim, whether they have a direct client or they're just part of some investigative effort investigating violent people, protecting the quote unquote community. Again, the deep state fraud. So Ross may have several private investigators already investigating him. They don't have a right to, because they're doing it based upon his employment. They did it to me based upon my employment, but they'll use terms like violent, sexually dangerous. But in fact, their people, if you really look at them, the people they use are the dangerous people, from the informants all the way up to the investigators and the clients, when there are clients. And there's financiers, deep state finances. So they'll put together a 401k, like an NGO, to kill people with spycraft and get money from the government to do some fraudulent thing that they're not actually doing. And then Comey signs off, and Mueller signs off, and Tenet signs off, and Clapper signs off. So they make $1 million from the government breaking the laws the government's supposed to enforce. So again, that's where your ICE officers are actually, and your Border Patrol officers. So again, I explained to Border Patrol years ago, whether they saw it or not, I don't know. That all those suicides were deep state assassinations. You maybe had people in your agency and department that were killing them. Right? But again, it's based upon external payment, external representations. That's when remember that guy was in jail for in prison. Again, I explained that, even if he made a mistake, I mean, you're talking about out there type of enforcement. This isn't even a street cop. This guy's out there in the middle of nowhere patrolling like a military entity. And he did the best he could, and something happened, and I don't think it was wrong. I thought his articulation was correct. I mean, if you had a problem with him, you let him go. But you can't, again, I guess the way they do it, they pull the security clearance or whatever. I don't remember his name. He did get pardoned eventually, I believe. Again, and don't play this Republican-Democrat game when you're dealing with that kind of stuff, because, again, it'll screw what you're trying to do. You have to stand up for people for the reasons you stand up for people, and then be consistent with that. So you see the newspapers, well, we're journalists. No, they're not. They're hacks. They're developing a dossier on your officers, and they're going to stalk them their whole life. And because they'd love the headline in 10 years where Ross is some drunk on the side of the road, defecating on himself, visiting prostitutes. That's what they do all day. It's a spycraft, CIA technology, KGB technology, Chinese secret police technology that they use to make them be somebody less than who actually are. And in a lot of cases were, because, it fails. Hey, he commits a crime. That's what he's doing. See, that's part of it. It's bullshit. It's fraud. They're engaged in fraud. Out and out fraud, false statements. Even give it to the government. They're calling government right now about me, making false statements. So again, that Ross will be executed. The other officer will be executed. It'll just go their whole life. Now, the other officer who ended up drug overdosing, he was already executed. He looked like a go-getter. They wanted him off the border, most likely when he was. I think he was working on the border. Because they couldn't bring the drugs in when he was there. It's that simple. It's that simple why the Marshal Service went corrupt around. They can't work for the criminal enterprise, or they don't feel comfortable working for the criminal enterprise, or they can't guarantee the criminal enterprise. Right. I mean, there's deputies in the mine that project saying, I took over like 4 or 5 cases, and they want you to believe that the other officer was just a piece of shit. But the conclusion is that they were taking money to not look for fugitives. Say, I can't find him. Somebody takes over the case and finds him in like 5 days. Right? That's worth $1 million in some cases. Like Fat Leonard. Be worth $1 million if you bury his fugitive case. Right. Right. A little more difficult today to do it, but I'm sure they still do it if they can. Because there's money grubbers, man. $1 million's not enough, 10 million's not enough, 20 million's not enough. They want to be Elon. That's why everything changed. That's how the deep state and the foreign governments that are with the deep state moved the United States to this idea of having more money. Because they can always manipulate you to commit the next crime for the deep state shadow government criminal enterprise, which is rife with foreign influence. That's who most of these people that get charged for working for a foreign, being a foreign agent of foreign government, they're part of a larger scam, like the Weinstein thing. Steele. I guess his name was Steele with Hillary. Again, I protect Hillary when she's to be protected, but I'm not going to protect the deep state. Right. Deep state killed Vince Foster, whacked his head like they did. It's the same thing. It may have been the same people as Jonathan Luna and my life. Right. But it doesn't make us Democrats or Republicans. That's the bullshit. Because they're actually Russian and Chinese and Ukrainian and UK and France. But they play this thing, we Republican and Democrat. Right? Republican Guard and Democratic Socialist Republic of Germany. Right? That's who was paying these people. That's who put them in to destroy the United States for the world, for the enemies of the world. Right? Look, Trump's not really Republican. Come on. He has to pick up some of that old Democratic Party stuff so we can fix stuff right. It's not you can't, it's God, I'll tell you that. Or just nature. God says it's more like the nature, the spiritual nature. You can't fix it without combining Republican and Democrat. You can't. Right. And of course, we get to the point where it's extreme right, extreme left. Right. I mean, I think some of the Republicans in the government at this point have figured out that you can't do it as an extreme right entity. Right. Well, we're stuck in this point at this point with this thing, and this thing is that like 10 years ago, we needed to not let it get so bad. Well, you have to fix the economy. You can't fix the economy without, getting rid of some of the immigrants, because the immigrants are part of the criminal economy. And you can't build a non-criminal economy while the criminal economy is killing the non-criminal economy, and that causes it to outpace the non-criminal economy, right? Because then you're beholden to the criminal economy, right? I told you this probably 10 years ago, maybe even 15 years ago. So well, I don't know. I can't tell you it's a downturn yet. Like the Democrats want us to believe. CNN's a Democrat. They went back to being a Democrat, right? Thank you. Well, because it may just be an adjustment. I even said to the Fed, even a long time, even the last administration, that we can't read it the same way because we're not in the same world. We're in a completely different. I mean, we didn't even have crypto. We didn't have this. We didn't have that. Right. Well, there's a lot of credit out there. Then there's also there's more credit out there, believe me. And then which we're about to maybe reverse. But there's 0% credit. Which could, if the 0% credit disappears, the economy could really falter. That one's scary. So again, the 10%, I don't know. if you have to find out if the 10% is good for the people that have good to great credit, you got to find out if that's going to disappear the 0% credit, because that's how most people buy stuff that have good credit and great credit. Like they figure, well, I don't have to pull out from my investment. I'll just pay it off over time. Right. Thanks, Larry. Somebody's right on my tail. I drove by my house there, and I'm going somewhere else here. It's pretty weird not to have an apartment number in my address after all these years. Right. That's the weirdest part about this thing. When I look at my address, I'm like, Thank you, Larry. I'm a pullover person's on my ass, and I don't like it. It's a Jeep, and he's speeding way too fast, buddy. Going around a big turn here, curve. He did, I think, eventually slow down. He probably felt it shifting it over to one side too much. Yeah, he did slow down a little bit, but now he's speeding up. He's speeding. Dinner Bell and whatever this crossroad is. I can't remember what this crossroad is. Well, the backside of my development. Yeah, you might want to do a speed trap down in there. Again, I don't know if there's a reason besides him to do it, but although he may have been stalking me, didn't want me to get his license plate. I really didn't care, but right. So I might have pulled out in front of him. So he did that crazy shit where he runs the lights up your ass, Right. Daring you to come out and whap him upside the head while he whammies you. Not paranoid. It's the real world. Again, ICE now knows that's what everything I've been saying is the real world. Right. DHS knows it. The Border Patrol knows it. Right. I always did stuff like this, but like a lesser degree when I was asleep in the 1990s, because it was just beginning at that point. Right. I try to dunk on some employee, and I'd go over and talk to them. I wouldn't, I don't know if my supervisor was mad at me because I wouldn't do Matt Burke, but we both got dogged for what Matt did to piss him off. Right. Well, at a certain point, again, it becomes dangerous. I don't know if it became dangerous then, right? But right. No, I never like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do math. Like if I would have went, whoever, if I would have, yeah, I don't know who all it was. I know who one of them was, my supervisor. If I went, well, you want me to do math? What do you give me? What do you give me if I do math? That's what the other people were like. What do you give me if we do Harry? I want you a GS13, even though you can't do the work of a GS11, and you're already GS12. Like, Timothy, run! Timothy, run! I don't know what that is, but a kid jumped out. Oh, somewhere there might be somebody, Timothy. If I say it, then Hashem shifts it, and somebody named Timothy. Timothy, run! Oh, no, I gotta run. That's how some people live. They just hear a blip like that. Like, ooh, Timothy, run! It's the name of a road. I'll feel it. It's not as bad as when I first. That's what Hashem was probably showing me. It's not as bad as when I first was healing this place. So it came up 157, but it said Heinz 157. So there's more than 57 choices. There's 157. So what happened is it was in bondage here. So now people are freer back here to make choices. Right? And then at a certain point, if they reduce your choices enough, you become a mass murderer. And Matt pulled out of it. Like Matt was telling me what he was doing in life, and I'm like, oh shit. Like when I woke up, I'm like, now when I woke up, what was it? I wasn't like, oh shit back then. I was just like, like the bad boy, the Matt Berg bad boy life before he got married. So again, when I woke up, I'm like, okay, I was going through the same thing Matt was going, but I didn't get to the other side of it, right? Well, they wouldn't let me, right? And then working went through something. The other guy, the Coast Guard guy. No, I was around a lot of people who became big people in the Mars service and stuff. They killed me from the beginning. Actually, from the beginning. Right? Now they're bullshit. And, oh, there's this history we had to check out. They're full of shit. Right? You check their own history. That's what it's about. Well, because they only can stay if they continue to commit the crimes for the deep state. Otherwise, they get done. But they're the ones that, allow the deep state in to begin with. Yeah, they're all fighting because they all committed crimes. They all stole money. Protect the fraudster because they are the fraudster. Right? What happened to the no salt potato chips? You can't find them anywhere. Yeah, I could have married some foreign national woman like Ross. That's the key to success, actually, is getting a woman that's real. I imagine his wife is real. Filipino women are generally real. They attacked all the Filipino women around me once I realized they existed. At a certain point, I couldn't get over there. It would be too dangerous. It's too cheap to kill someone in the Philippines for me to go there. CIA would do it. I guarantee it. Somebody in the CIA would have me killed in the Philippines if I went there. I guarantee it. Now, I don't know who's in there now, but definitely back then. Right. That's who I suspect messed up my move to the Philippines. And then at a certain point, they opened it back up when they had everybody in line to kill me, Right. It was actually revolved around the Guardian Angels, Sliwa's thing in the Philippines. That's what I was going to go do. And find a woman and buy property. Right? She would actually buy it. But, I'm sure a Philippine woman and I get along fabulous. It gets me so mad. Not mad. It freaks me out actually when I call the call centers now, because I used to talk to them a little bit, but it's just because I just know. That could have been my wife. No, that's why they're so dogged in life. There's a lot of good Filipino people. Right? I did my work to heal them. Actually, I'm the reason the call centers found their way to the Philippines. I'm an inside person. Well,